Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Wow.
My name is Oprah, and I'm really excited. And you get a car. I'm so excited to be here with HIKARI, and you all, this is such a treat that HIKARI is here with us. Her film is coming out in theaters tomorrow, y'all. This film premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival, and it got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Who gets 100% on Rotten Tomatoes? Incredible.
Thank you.
Audiences have just been loving on this film, and so we are so lucky to have her here to talk with us. Just a couple of kind of thoughts to get us started. I am an organizer and an advocate, and when Sarita and I started Caring Across Generations, we were really focused on policy change, and there are a lot of people here who work on policy change. We were trying to change policy to make childcare more affordable, to make home and community-based care more accessible to more people who need it, to raise the wages for care workers, to establish paid leave. There's so many things we were trying to do with policy change, and very quickly we realized that we have major cultural barriers in our country when it comes to care. There are these deeply held beliefs that we have in this country that we've internalized about care as this individual responsibility and burden.
Right.
And if we're struggling to afford care or manage it, it's a personal failure. Like we did something wrong. Right? Like we don't have the right job, we didn't save enough, or we didn't buy the long-term care insurance, whatever it may be. Instead of thinking of it as something that we deserve support around, and that is like a social, societal priority, right? That should be supported by systems and policies. And that's why we decided to invest in culture and narrative change, and especially in the power of storytelling and popular culture. And one of the things that we found is that there's like two kinds of truths in the world. There's what's factually true, and then there's what's emotionally true. And they're not the same. And they both powerfully shape how we think about the world, how we feel, what we do, our behaviors. And the thing about advocates is we're mostly comfortable with the factual truths. Like we make really strong arguments, we do the research, we gather the data, and we say this is how it should, we make the argument. But the truth is that human beings are such emotional beings at the end of the day, right? That emotional life that we have is so powerful. And I know personally as an organizer, it's like too messy for me. It's like hard, it's hard to navigate. And sometimes I'm afraid of it. And that's where we look to artists like you. Artists are our guide through our emotional lives and help us navigate and find the way. And that's what your film does. That's what you do with your art. And I'm just wondering.
I try my best.
You're amazing. Can you say a little bit about what drives you as an artist?
Sure. But before, first of all, this is hand in hand, right? Like, I can't do what I do without your research, without your work. So I really appreciate for everything you guys do. Like, it gets me so emotional. I'm so honored to be here today. And I'm so thank you for inviting me to be here. I don't know exactly the visual you do, but know that we're all here to support each other. We're all one. So let's start from there. What drives my art? There's so much. I come from, before I became a filmmaker, which I started going to school when I was 30, which is a little bit later than a lot of kids who goes to film school. I was a photographer, I was a painter, I was a dancer. I tried to be an actress, that didn't happen, so I became a professional waitress. That happens a lot of us. But for me, through photography, really, after being a painter to become a photographer, I was able to see the true emotion coming through my viewfinder. I shot weddings, to the funeral, baby birth, to bar mitzvah, to all of it, you name it. I was there whenever they said, I'm here, I need your help in this. And so for me, witnessing how people really experience life, that was kind of my way of, wow, maybe there's something really powerful that I can do through storytelling. And really was kind of like everything I've done in my life was just kind of gearing towards to what I do now, which I feel very grateful and very, very lucky to be in this position to tell story. I honestly, just this, like us. It sounds as broad and everything, but for me, I come from working class. I was raised with single mom. And everything that happened, and my grandparents owned a metal factory as a kid. And there's a lot of people with, I would say, differently abled community of people who worked in the factory. So I grew up in a place where I never saw a difference between me and you, or she and he, or they. So for me, like, what's the story? Whatever the story that to me speaks to me in the core of the story I have to tell. Like, I listen to my instinct all the time. That's kind of how it drives me. So really is like a life experience really leading me. And just that feeds me a desire to want to tell a story about us. That's kind of like my core of trying to create cinema. Yeah, I'm sorry if I don't.
Beautiful,
question,
no, beautiful,
yeah.
Exactly. Heart, gut, and the kind of experience of the world, and how that runs through your heart and your instinct.
Yeah, I think in that sense, horror movie is not really my thing because I haven't quite experienced that bloody, gushing thing yet.
It's not my thing either. Who's into horror movies here? Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I know a lot of people who are, and I've just not been able to.
I have not. I'm such a scary. Like, I get so scared. Me too. So, yeah.
You have this beautiful quote. You've said in the past that the truth of an idea matters more than the size of it. I love that. The truth of an idea matters more than the size of it. Can you say a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Sure. There's a lot of, like, I packed all of my feeling and emotion into that one little quote. But the truth that exists within all of us, authenticity of individual characters and what happens in the world, what happens in this, for example, rental family, is actual business that exists in Japan. And there's a reason behind that this business exists. But the authenticity of telling the story through the individual character, through us, right? That to me is the driving force far more than the plot, if that makes sense. That plot-driven story, don't get me wrong, I love watching Marvel movies, superhero movies. Those are also plot-driven with the, complicated characters. But for me, what drives me is to really, again, focusing on individual characters and what their story is, what their arc is, where they start from here to go in the end, what do they learn? Those are my kind of my driving force when it comes to the story I want to tell. So the scale is, that could be, rental family is, we shot in Tokyo and all that stuff, but it's a relatively smaller scale, I would say, compared to some of the major Hollywood movies. And the same thing with 37 Seconds. The first movie I made was relatively small. But I think within that small size of scope, we say, I think the story can be such a full as it, as a cinema. So yeah, I think those are like my focus when it comes to making art, making movies. Yeah.
Finding just what's vast inside of the very specific.
Specific, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Beautiful. Can you say a little bit more about this real business that is rental family business in Japan, just so that we're about to see a clip, but I wanted to just give a little bit of context about the inspiration for the film and then the actual business of it in Japan that it's based on.
Sure. So my writing partner Stephen Bleha, we worked on this for more than a few years. It feels like writing a story. But back in like 2018, 19, somewhere around that borderline, he was just randomly looking for a job for American people, Caucasian men to do in Japan, and during that process, he found a job, obviously translator, right, English teacher, dressing as a butler and to work at the butler cafe. That's a popular thing in Japan. And there's a cuddling service, and there's a lot of interesting service, but one of them was rental family. And he came up to me, he's like, do you know anything about rental family business? Like, what is rental family? Like, that I don't even know what that is. And I'm Japanese, right? So we started doing research. And then we find out the business actually started in the 80s. And there's about 300 companies currently exist in Japan that provide similar services. Wow. Yeah, and rental family, it sounds very specific, and you can rent, let's say you had a problem, you had a mother who perhaps passed away when you were a kid, and you want to experience that, what does it feel like to have a mom? You can find somebody through the website to pick the picture, and oh, I like this woman, and you can ask the woman to do exactly what your mom used to do, and she'll just show up and provide us, the feeling, right? And it's really beautiful. And so that too, there's a very popular guy. It's called Mr. Do Nothing. He absolutely do nothing. He just sit next to you and have a meal or whatever you ask him, and he doesn't even have to talk. He just be there for you, And it's kind of.
I know this guy.
Yeah. So that's also something very popular. But the bottom line is that people are looking for connection or just a companionship, and again in Japan is I think big city like Tokyo or even New York, you're on top of each other, right? Mm-hmm. Yet you still feel so isolated because of, I think, the technology is one of the things that really divides us, and also what's happening in the world divides us. COVID really divided us, right? So all the things that it really piled on top of each other. So it was kind of naturally for Japanese people to kind of start this business that, rather than really making a big deal out of, I need to talk to somebody and reaching out to a therapist, etc. It's just randomly
rent someone.
You can just pick up a phone and say, hey, I need somebody to just be with me, and then just spend time with me, right, for a couple of hours or whatever.
Wow. Okay. So that's the context.
That's the context.
Your new film, Rental Family, is a fish out of water tale about an American actor who starts working for a Japanese rental family service, where he's hired to play roles including a fake fiance, an estranged father, and a journalist hired to interview an older actor who's living with dementia. Let's look at a clip.
And you still nearly backed out.
But I didn't.
But you would have. See, you're just a gaijin. You will never understand how things work here.
You're right, I am gaijin, but Japan is my home now. And I want to try to understand. Oh, gee. you do this?
What?
This job. You're so passionate about it. Why?
It's the way these people look at you. Like they've been waiting for you their whole lives. Despite everything Dada says, these people stay with you. Sometimes all we need is someone to look us in the eye and remind us we exist.
Thank you.
Why this specific story for you?
Well, I felt, as I spoke a little bit about, I feel like the world is a bit divided right now in a way. And when we start writing this story was about during the pandemic. And I felt, where are we going? Like when this is gonna stop? You know, I think the entire world was living under fear, right? And that's, so for me, it was important to find a story. Me and my partner, we were really trying to find a story that really connects all of us, regardless of the color of our skin, how we look, and where we live, the different culture, the countries, the background, all of it. And then bringing Brendan Fraser's character into Tokyo was also something important because I kind of experienced as an exchange student. When I first came to America, I lived in Utah. And I was only Asian girl, as long as I could remember. And then it was like, oh, there's another Asian girl. And then, but she didn't speak a word of Japanese. So, so you know, being that one person in the room and not being able to speak the language really gave me, like, you know, the value of my life. I was like, wow, I really am a foreign person. But the people I met, right, during that time, my best friends who I'm still really close to. We're best friends like for like how many years now? 30 years. And my host family, they all became my family, you know, even though we're not related. It was like found family that I still really value our friendship, and they really saved me. So I kind of wanted to flip the idea. And what does it look like if Philip, Brendan's character, living in Japan for the last 6 years, he kind of feels also isolated. But through this business, having all these people from different backgrounds coming together. But yeah, Philip's character is very much like what he brings. I guess what I wanted to do was to have you guys see yourself in Philip's, you know, from Philip's eyes and experience Japan, one. And number two, he's a character who constantly trying, like, even though he mess up on everything, it feels like, but he's constantly trying and trying. And then I think that's something that we as a human being needs to do, even though there might be a hard time. Trying is all about how we makes us stronger, how we grow, you know, make us grow. So that was kind of examination, like I wanted to, through the character, I wanted to share that with the audience, say, if you do this, we could potentially lead to a different, right, place in the world. Yeah. So that was kind of important for me too.
So powerful. It's so interesting too because so many of the roles that he gets hired for are related to caregiving.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
Was there something in your life related to caregiving that kind of is underneath all of that?
Well, I love people, and it just in a personal level, I took care of my grandmother before she passed away. So is my grandpa, and that's something that you're even though I'm not family, I also took care of my auntie too before she passed away. So I love to. I don't know. I love to reach hands and just know that no matter what part in their lives, you know, where they are in the level or wherever they are, I just kind of like to just really come together as a community and then share our wisdom or experience so that we can grow together. That's something that I don't know if that's called caregiving, but I like to kind of demonstrate that and, you know, bring people together. That's something I love to do in general. But Philip's character, you're right. You know, he becomes a dad, and especially for the older gentleman, when he becomes a journalist, he really becomes. does feels like a caregiver because he's there to support him, right? But then also individual characters, they becomes his, kind of like they also take care of him too in a weird way. Like they go both, hands in hands, right? Little girl teaches me greatly. The older gentleman becomes the kind of like a father figure that he never had. So for me, it was kind of, this movie really was to show how important for us to really be open and find that connection and just don't be afraid to take that step, Yeah, if that makes sense. Yeah.
It does. And I especially want to lift up the point about how his role is as a caregiver, but the person is also caring for him.
Right.
And it's so often how it works in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And then, the interesting things about it, the rental family business itself, the people, it's not just the people who are who are hiring the actors or people to give them care. The people who are giving the care is also being, in a way that they've been saved. A lot of people that I spoke to, they feel so amazing by being thanked for doing what they did. I think that's a really great energy exchange. You know what I'm saying? It's that you're doing something just because, and of course you're getting paid for hourly, but you're there to just help somebody, and that giving is actually much more greater than actually sometimes receiving. So, yeah, and then I think I like that. I think that's one of the reasons I like to care people, because I love being, I don't know, feel of being there in their life's part, like I'm playing a part in everybody's life. That makes me feel full, as a whole, sorry.
No, I love that way of thinking about care as fulfilling a role that you were kind of meant to fulfill as part of a whole that then helps you feel whole.
Yeah,
right?
and we're like basically filling the hole, like each other. We're just really, filling the gap, right, of humanity, connection, just by giving this kindness, sharing this kindness, and this exchange is so important because that what makes us as a whole, and again, with that energy, we can just keep moving forward every day. That to me, that would be my driving force to like, oh, I've done something really great, and and I want to continue to do that because that makes me feel also great too, vice versa. So,
I love that the care and the kindness is filling the gaps between us.
Yeah.
It's powerful. You mentioned your film 37 Seconds.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of us in this room who care about disability representation. 37 Seconds follows a disabled artist who embarks on a journey of personal and sexual discovery. And even though 1 in 4 people in our country are disabled, it's so rare to see a disabled character lead a movie.
Right.
And so why was that important to you?
So, like I said, I grew up, in a factory where there's somebody who doesn't have fingers, or have no legs, or having hearing aids, and so to me, there's never a difference between me and her, And the same thing in Japan. If you have people with disability, they don't come out to the city. You don't really see them. But I know, 1/4 here in America, there's a lot of people with, I would say, differently able-bodied people obviously exist, right, in Tokyo. And for me, it was important to let people without, perhaps. So, how many percent? 70% of people that, we all exist, we're all same. There's nothing different. Just because you're one way and doesn't mean that you're better than us. So for me, it was important to bring that, awareness, because a lot of people in Japan doesn't get to understand or have no way of learning what kind of, the hurdle the girls like, the girl who's in the lead character, have to go through. So for me, it was important to let everybody knows that just kind of, the word educate is too much to me, but it just really just wanted to bring the awareness, that really was about it. So I hope the movie did okay, and yeah, it's on Netflix, so.
37 seconds on Netflix. See it tonight, and then tomorrow. Go to the theater to see Rental Family. Yeah, and the fact that Rental Family has been hitting the film festival circuit.
Yeah,
it is,
thank God. I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about the journey, where the film has been, and what the audience response has been, and what you hope it will be once it's in theaters more widely.
Yeah, so we started off on Toronto International Film Festival. It was a great deal for us, and we had a great reception. We screened I think 5, 6 screenings we had, and then from there we just Switzerland, we played Brazil, we played all around the world, and also within the country as well. And we received the 5th one, we received the audience award 2 days ago at Hawaii International Film Festival. And then she's from Chicago, and we were at the Chicago International Film Festival. That's where I also received the audience award. Yeah. But to me, that's like the best award I can ever ask for as a filmmaker, is that I made movie. We all make movie for the audience, and that if that audience is finding a like of our story, that that's more than anything that any filmmakers ask for. And it's been interesting because you make a movie and hoping that everybody would laugh or cry, or feel a certain way, and curious where they feel that experience. And it's been every single places that they see, it's been exactly the same. So it was like, okay, great, translation is working. And yeah, I guess it's.
But it also says something about human beings, right?
Yeah,
they tell us that we're so divided, but there's the fact that the audience response in all of these places has been so similar, that it's resonated at some deeply human level, is so hopeful.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, no, it really is. And I think that once you see the movie, if you get a chance to watch it, it really is about a connection. And individual character really tells a story, their experience through the characters. But I wanted to, and then I hope that audience can perhaps see themselves in each characters, and then how they navigate. Perhaps if there's a way that they can connect with them, maybe there is perhaps a little bit of ideas or maybe inspiration that they can take away from each of them. And it seems like that's somewhat resonating, and it's just really, it makes my heart feel full to know that. So
in our final few minutes, I want to share this quote from Hikari that's like one of my new favorite quotes. There's a lot of favorite quotes from CareFest this year. In case you weren't here for the Jane Fonda interview, one of my favorite quotes from her the other day was, "My favorite form of exercise these days is a leap of faith."
Wow.
Very good one.
That's a really great one.
Very good one. And it's kind of like the one that I'm about to read of yours, which is, "We could give in and live passively, or if you listen to your instinct and follow your heart, there's always a road to a new world. Anything is possible."
Thank you.
Say more. Tell us what you meant by that.
Sure. I think as just me as a girl who grew up in Osaka, a little town, I got to experience a lot of good and bad. I feel good in a way, even though the bad happened, there's always something that I was able to learn from. And that teaching lesson really let me grow as a human being. And perhaps if that hardship was something that I really don't even want to discuss about, still, as a filmmaker, I'd be able to understand what the individual have perhaps experienced, the same experience. So, but when I stopped, I felt it wasn't going anywhere, right? Like, for me, and every time when I get stuck, I just have to kind of meditate and figure out like where I want to go. And in those moments, when your mind is quiet, at least for me, when I was able to make my mind quiet, and then there's always a little sign or something that it speaks to me, that's, I call it like my inspiration. Should I go this way, that way? And then boom, something may happen. And there's like, I don't feel I should go that direction, but maybe I'll try it because I don't know which direction is right for me. So I choose that. And sometimes take me to the really great place and sometimes not, you know? So it's like, why did I make that decision? But again, in that moment, something I learn again. And that mistake I have from the mistake, I get to learn from the mistake. And then another door opens. And for me, I never thought I was becoming a filmmaker. I just kind of kept following my heart and say, I want to sing, I want to act, I want to do this, I want to dance, I want to art, I want to do photography. Now, because photography, I had to make living, and that's kind of, I did my, pay me under the table, photography, let's go. But then eventually, where it got me now as a filmmaker is kind of ultimate goal of like everything that I've done. And so for me, the same thing with like, picking, choosing, whatever. I felt like all the doors that opened for me, it led me to where I really ultimately love being, and being able to share the story with, the world. And I don't know what else to explain, but just to really, I did listen, though it took me a long time. I'm not gonna say I'm not one of those filmmakers that like made a movie in 24 and they're like, whoa, you're in Cannes and you won all these awards and like, well, your life is set. I'm definitely not that. It took me years to get here. But even then, with that plus years kind of gave me a life experience that, still continue to say, wow, that experience I had, be able to be in touch, being able to be a waitress, working all these different jobs, got to understand what the life and people are all about. So, I just think we just have to listen to our instinct. And if you go to see a movie, at the very end of the movie scene is something that I always resonate to me, is that, we're all divine being. We just have to go with what your heart tells you, and don't doubt. If you try, it's hard. It's easier said than done, but
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I think this is a room where we have big goals, which is to totally transform the way that we support caregiving in our country. From the time we're born to the time we leave this earth, we are all going to need care at different points, and we never know when. And we don't have the systems in place or the cultural support that we need to be able to help each other and support each other in care. And I think we're trying really hard to dream about what it could be, what it could feel like, what it should be in the future. And I hear from what you just said, it's like the journey is never going to be what you expect. And whatever it is, even if it feels like a setback, that it's part of the journey. And as long as you're following your heart, we'll find the way. And every step matters.
Every step matters. And I think this rental family in particular, the reason why I wanted to make this was because I wanted to say that we're not alone, right? We, as sometimes, for those who may have a little bit of challenges to realize that we're all here. But I want them to know that there's always a pathway if you're willing to open and for the suggestion. And, for all of us feels, if there's a people who is needing support, and we're here to help each other. I think, but it's also important for us to let them know that we're here for each other. And it doesn't have to be like big. It could be just if you think about somebody, right, in that moment, like don't, just instead of text messaging, like just pick up the phone and call. You know, if it goes to voice message, just leave a message, you know? And that importance of a connection really bring us like together as a human being. A lot of things could happen in the world. It's so many things that we cannot control. But I think starting this, us coming together, building a community is most important. I think that's how we can become stronger and make this world a better place, really. It starts from here. So, but thank you guys for...
That is a perfect way to end. Thank
you for what you do.
much,
Thank you so much for what you do.